y'all, this is Marla K. Hope everybody is well. I have a story about a $6 a day electric vehicle subscription service that is trying to disrupt the auto industry. So, you know that they have this green agenda and this push to go to electric for climate. They're trying to get us off of fossil fuels. And so the EV business is not doing good at all because people are finally figuring out it's not better than fossil fuels. But in an effort to get us to the point where you can't, um, this is the only way you're going to be able to get around in a car if you want a car or need a car. Um, they're trying to sell us this. This push for fossil fuels is intentional, and the increase in automotive insurance and car expenses is also intentional so that they can drive us to this. So I just want to share this story because this is what's coming, and we need to talk about it. We're gonna be here and you ain't getting raptured nowhere, so you just need to know what time it is. And that's what we're talking about here. So this story was on newatlas.com, and this story came out on April 6th. It was one of the stories that I had been meaning to bring y'all, but I have not had time to get to it, so I'm trying to catch up. All right. So it says we love a big idea and they don't come much bigger than this. Helix Technologies has begun taking registrations in Southeast Asia for its electric car and van subscription service, and we're about to see a fascinating rollout of what appears to be a thoroughly excellent and potentially very disruptive idea. So they always got a new idea. And notice that they're rolling out all these big ideas in other places because they gotta bring it here last. Like you just can't pull out stuff on Americans. We ain't going for it. So they gotta do it other places and with poor people or places where there are a lot of people who will buy into this and then they'll introduce it here. So this is something that we have to look for, but they have to destabilize us because in America everybody has cars. If you want a car, you can get one, even if it's from a buy here, pay here place. They have insurance prices for all different price points. And it's like the housing market and with mortgages and people who own houses, the homeowners insurance is getting to the point where it's becoming unaffordable to own a home. It's going to be cheaper to rent. And so that's where they're transitioning us to. People gonna come become disillusioned in the West with owning a home, even though really you never own a home because if you don't pay taxes on it, they can take it. They can put liens on it if you owe money for. So like they create all these loopholes where you never really own nothing anyway. So that's why I always thought it was a joke. If you want to have something, you should really leave America because you can't ever own anything in the West anyway. Children of the Corn make it so that you never own stuff outright. So anyway, that's what this is about. So it says Helix's cheapest subscription rate works out to 25 cents per hour, which would logically be the full-time rate of having a new car van with a lot insurance and maintenance. That's $6 per day. No upfront fees, nothing else to pay. Just add your own electricity. So y'all see where they're going? All of these costs are trackable costs. If you have electricity, you gotta have a place to charge your vehicle, and then you gotta have a way to pay for it, which is going to be digitally. So and you're using an electric car, so just be tied to a satellite. If you don't pay your bill, it's going to cut off. I did the story. I showed y'all a video from Survivor Lily about what the person told her from the insurance industry of how things are changing over the next couple of years. And in 2026, they're not making any more fossil fuel cars in America. So fossil fuel cars are going to be phased out. Congress already passed the bill. It's law. It's just, it's not a matter of if, it's just when this thing happens. And all these goals are going to be by 2030. So We need to pay attention to this because this is going to be the trend. When you can't afford your gas vehicle any longer, if you drive it, they're going to charge you some astronomical, stupid fees. You're going to be looking for alternatives, and this is what they want the alternative to be. So it says if your car stops or is in an accident, there's an instant replacement available, which is an attribute bound to appeal to those using the EV for commercial purposes. With the ownership model, that's the owner's problem. Here's the car. Here, the car is immediately replaced, like for like, and commercial activity resumes post haste. Minimizing downtime for commercial vehicles is important, so having the batteries swappable makes sense too. The Helix vehicle, so here's the other thing. So now they're pushing this whole lithium battery. You got to have the batteries for everything cuz so now this transition from one energy source to another energy source. So it's just scams, just Ponzi schemes and scams. That's all it is. If you got good common sense, you got a little bit of business savvy, it's a scam. The Helix vehicle platform can take up to 6 kWh, I don't know what that is, LFP, um, lithium iron, lithium iron phosphate battery packs for a total capacity of 12 kilowatt hertz, I guess, in a range of 200 kilometers, 124 miles. If that's not enough for a taxi shift or delivery run, it's just a matter of swapping batteries to be productive again. Charging times become irrelevant. So now here's the push to get you to buy extra batteries for your rented car. So, I guess you rent the batteries. I don't know. This all makes a very compelling proposition in comparison to the current car ownership model that is responsible for the 1.5 billion cars currently circulating on the planet. The problem is that the ownership model has the momentum of a century-old industry behind it, and a lot of influential people have not invested in maintaining the status quo. The automotive industry currently contributes US dollar one trillion US dollars to the American economy each year and has historically contributed 3+% of the gross domestic product of the entire country. It directly employs 1.7 million people and is also a massive consumer of goods and services from other manufacturing sectors, making it an even more important driver of the entire manufacturing industry's contribution to the gross domestic product. So it says America has had its century of the automobile, as have all other developed economies. America and most of Europe are now, listen, replacement markets for the automobile industry. Earth has 9 billion people and 1.5 billion motorized vehicles in circulation. So while the ownership model has been good to the world's most advanced economies, it is probably not as widespread as you might have thought. In America, only 8% of households don't have a car. There are 50 countries in the world where only 8% of households do have a car, and where it is an aspirational dream to have the freedom that powered personal mobility brings. Every major country benefits enormously from its automotive industry, with China leading the way as the world's largest producer and consumer of automobiles. The Chinese automotive industry represents 10% of the gargantuan Chinese gross domestic product. For smaller automobile producing countries, the percentage is higher. It's 16% in France, with some smaller automobile producing countries depending on the industry for more than a third of gross domestic production. It's not hard to see how Helix's business model could bring disruptive innovation to the world's largest industries and how that might have dire consequences across the broader economic landscape. by achieving its intended purpose by empowering underprivileged communities access to greater mobility. Helix is currently building a pilot manufacturing facility in Singapore. So, it says sometime in early 2025, we'll be able to see this grand scheme. I love that they call stuff schemes in action when the Singapore facility begins producing cars, utes, vans, and tuk-tuks. And tuk-tuks are the little things that, people, you see them in India, and I think they have them in Haiti and in other places where they're like a lot of poor people. They just drive around and people hop on them, hang on, and go wherever they're trying to get a ride to. If all goes to plan, the people currently signing up to indicate interest in becoming the scheme's first customers will have their vehicles a year from now. Disruptive entrants typically capture unmet demand in an existing market, and the ingenious nature of the Helix system is based around the premise. It it isn't attempting to sell automobiles to the most privileged third of the species who already have one, but to reconfigure the automotive. And so it says autos is Greek for self. Motivus means motion in Latin, offering for all those who don't. Helix is unlikely to reach America or Europe with its current vehicles. Helix is aiming its subscription model at developing countries where vehicles have traditionally been imported and expensive, and its model is disruptive in more than one way because the intention is to offer a complete factory in a box system that can establish a local manufacturing facility inside 6 months. Though the vehicles are modest by developed world standards, but they are built to be perfectly fit for purpose. The aim is to provide cost effective transport options for people who don't want or cannot afford the upfronts of the vehicle ownership model and who do not need a car that does more than 50 miles per hour. So it says that's one of the fascinating outcomes of taking a helicopter view of the automotive industry. The citizens of most Western countries drive around in cars and vans that are capable of achieving double the posted speed limits, even though those capabilities are almost never used. And that's a very good point because they make you pay for all these bells and whistles, things that you will never be able to use. You buy a car that can drive 220 miles per hour. You can't drive 220 miles per hour no place, but they make the cars with engines that go that rate, and then you pay for that service, but you don't really need it. So it's like really kind of foolish. Even though these capabilities are almost never used, many people own cars that do triple the speeds they will actually be driven at. And that's a very good point. So we pay for things that we don't need. So it says in Western economies where there are dozens of cars in each class competing in a replacement market, it is important that manufacturers have cars that compete on the specs sheet. So they build their cars bigger and stronger to be safely capable of the 100 plus mile per hour speeds their competitors can do. And the end result is that we all are paying to have a car that is engineered for conditions it will never experience. It is much heavier than it needs to be, so it needlessly uses a lot of energy accelerating and decelerating, and tires and brake pads wear faster because of the weight too. So again, very good valid points. But in my opinion, I do see this coming to our country for the very reasons that they mention. And this is why this story caught my eye, because like it's almost like now they're admitting, like, the truth is being revealed in all things now. So they're telling us, like I always say time and time again, like, we spend so much of our income paying for things that we don't need because they tell us we need them, or they make us feel emotional, like we have an emotional attachment to having stuff, bigger stuff, better stuff, the best, living in the biggest house, the nicest house, the best car, the finest this. It's just ridiculousness. We waste so much of our money because they tell us we need to spend our money on these things. And at the end of the day, we don't need any of it. So um, I just want to share this with you because I honestly feel like this is going to be coming to the West. Although they say it's not coming to Western nations, if we're gonna do green stuff, we're gonna have green economies, and they're expecting us to transition. I'm sure there's gonna be a market for this. Nobody wants electric cars now because people are finding out they ain't worth the crap, and nobody's gonna spend all that money on them. For the reasons that this article just talked about. You're paying for speed that you'll never use. You're paying for weight. So you're wearing out like your brakes and tires because you're constantly stopping and starting. So it's not cost effective to have an electric vehicle that's going to be more expensive to maintain. So I see something like this coming. And plus, they don't want us to own anything. So we can't ever forget about that. Part of the Great Reset is you will own nothing and you will be happy. So this is basically what this article is telling you. It's telling you that you're not going to own this car, but you're going to be happy that you have a car. So basically, we still on plantation. You're free, but you're not free. All right, y'all. I'll put a link to this story in the description for you to read it on your own. There were some things I didn't cover, but I just want to share this with you because this is the future of travel in your respective nations. They're trying it out in these other countries where there are a lot of poor people, but eventually it's gonna come here because we are gonna be poor too. Just keeping a buck. All right, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification so that you'll be notified each and every time I upload new content. Follow me on Odyssey, Rumble, Instagram, and on Facebook. The links are in the description. In the event that this channel is taken down, all of my old content is backed up on these platforms. So you'll be able to find me and I will do content on Rumble. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, to give donations, you can use Venmo or you can use Coffee. The links are in the description. Or if you'd like to give a one-time gift, that's fine as well. This channel is not monetized and I don't sell anything. I don't know if y'all see ads through my stuff or not, but I'm not signing up for that crap. So if you'd like to support the channel, support me, the link is in the description at the very bottom of the description box. Lastly, keep prepping, keep praying, keep your eyes open, keep watch. Obey those law, statutes, and commandments. Keep the Sabbath. Learn about lunar Sabbath because they out here doing stuff with the sun and the moon. In case y'all didn't see the stuff about the solar eclipse. So some ain't right. That's all I'm gonna say. Some things, some shisty. Uh repent of your sins daily, sins of commission and sins of omission, and make sure that you are paying attention to what is happening with this transition of the global order, because a lot of things are happening fairly quickly, and we are not really keeping up with all the things that are changing. So just make sure you are not being deceived by all the other stuff that we're talking about, because a lot of things are occurring at one time. So we need to keep watch, and especially watch the things that are happening in other countries, because what's happening outside of the US will eventually happen here. So we just need to understand the times that we're living in and just be aware of everything that's going on. All right, y'all, this is Marta K. Love y'all, and I am out.